Hello friends, this is the Organizer Advisor. Go grab a cup of tea or coffee or whatever beverage you prefer, and let's talk about some of the barriers that we encounter in making the effort to keep our house clean. What are some of the things that keep us from having a clean house? Hi friends, it's Lisa Winfield, the Organizer Advisor, here to help you enhance your happiness and transform your life. Okay, so in this series we're talking about what are some of the barriers that we encounter when we're trying to keep our house clean consistently. Oftentimes what I hear as a professional organizer is, I just can't keep up. Does that sound familiar? Well, we're going to discuss a few reasons why that may be happening to you today so that we can develop some strategies to empower you. Because, believe it or not, it happens to everyone. Now, unless you're a minimalist, which if you're a minimalist, you're probably not on this channel, you have stuff and it accumulates into clutter. And then that leads to frustration, strained familial relationships or relationships with people who share your space. And then you get to a point of overwhelm, and that can lead to anger, which can also lead to despair, which can then lead to depression. So that's what I've witnessed both with myself and with clients that I work with. And I'm just going to say that's the whole reason why I designed this whole system, because I suffered from that whole process, as well as watched many of my peers of all ages go through the same frustration. And this is evidenced by our New Year's resolutions. Every year are the same. I want to get more organized. I want to have less clutter. I want to have more time to spend with my family and loved ones. I want to take better care of my health. But you just get into this repeating vicious cycle of being overwhelmed. So let's see if we can find some solutions. First, let's identify some of the key reasons why you are constantly fighting clutter. So that's today's topic, is why we always seem overwhelmed with clutter. So there's a couple of things that we're going to have kind of a courageous conversation about. So let's walk through this together. The first reason that we have clutter is we don't have a management system. That's the whole underlying reason why we have clutter. We don't have a management system for our items. The business model of managing resources and assets is usually clearly defined in a business plan. However, when you're talking about a home and all the activity and all the people and all of the essential items, as well as the items that give us comfort and joy, there isn't any kind of strategic plan to manage these resources and assets. So what happens is they all accumulate, and then we go into that process that we just talked about. So we're going to create a management plan. But in order to do that, let's unpack some of the other reasons why we feel constantly overwhelmed by clutter. Not enough storage. One of the reasons that we have a lot of clutter is because we want to keep things accessible, and we may not have enough accessible storage to put items that are frequently used. So let's go, for example, our small appliances in our kitchen. We want to be able to use them. We want to be able to access them quickly, but we don't have a system of storage that makes them easy to access, but yet they're out of the way and they don't contribute to the clutter issue. So they get stored on the countertops, and then they get pushed to the back, and then there's stuff piled on in front, and then we don't have a comfortable workspace in our kitchen because we have all our small appliances out. Visually, it's overwhelming, and aesthetically, our visceral reaction when we walk into that space is avoidance. So then we just stop cooking in our kitchen. And that then becomes a whole nother layer of issues. So having a storage system where you have your frequently used items that are easily accessible, and then other items that you don't need or use as much in more less accessible storage. Okay, let's talk. Another example would be like holiday storage. Okay, a lot of times we just take our holiday stuff, we put it in a closet, and then we forget about it. There's no system of a storage device. It's just thrown into the bottom of the closet or in the top of the garage or laid on the workbench in the garage. And that is because we don't have a system designed for our holiday items. So then what happens is they then start to appear like clutter because they're just on surface spaces. So if we have a specifically designed plan for storing our holiday items, we're not going to use them all the time. We're only going to use them once or twice a year. So they don't need to be in accessible storage. They need to be in storage that we, aren't going to have to frequent as often, such as in your attic or in the garage in a loft system. But if we had a storage system where we could place these holiday items, we know what we have because we've put them in bins, we've carefully packed them so there's no damage, and then we've labeled the bins, then we know where those items are. We're going to feel more comfortable and confident when we need to use them. But they don't have to be in our living space, taking up space that we need for high frequency items. Okay, so that's the number one issue with why we have clutter and why we can't seem to manage it is because we don't have an effective storage space system. Okay, and we'll go through, as we go through processes in subsequent videos, we'll go through how to do this. The second reason is no time. And this is a confounding issue because if we don't have the time, then we are already frustrated. We are already overwhelmed. So we pick and choose our battles, which mainly means we're going to address the priorities, which is family care, work, and existence, survival. Not in the survival sense of, physically surviving, but just getting through what has to be done. So decluttering becomes less of a priority because it's not essential at that time. And we get to a point where we have to make choices about viability of our time. So what this leads to then is frustration, because now we're trying to find things that we don't know where they are because we are oversaturated with clutter. We don't have an effective organization system or storage system. And so then now we spend our time searching for things, which then increases our frustration, our stress level. And it really negatively impacts our sense of empowerment as well as our family relationships. So another reason that we feel overwhelmed with clutter a good part of the time is we have not created dedicated spaces for our high frequency items, such as flashlights, keys, our medications, vitamins and supplements, our exercise equipment, our videos, board games, all of those things that we tend to gather and scatter. We gather them and then we just hastily put them away someplace. And then when it comes time, we can't find them. And then we create more frustration for ourselves. So one of the strategies that I use is called thematic organizing, which we gather those items of similar themes, such as board games, CDs, videos, gaming systems, your books, magazines, your exercise equipment, your fun stuff, your keys, your documents, your, just even candles and vases and knickknacks and all of the plethora of stuff that we use to make our homes comfortable and self-expressive. So we gather them by themes, and then we go through them, keep what we need and purge what we don't, but then we create a dedicated space. And what this does is it not only helps you and kind of retrains you, reframes you to put things in a particular spot so that you can find them when you need them, but it also encourages others in your household, those that share your space, to do the same thing, because you can do it from a distance, such as when your significant other or family member says, "Where are the keys? I'm looking for the key to the shed." And you can say, "Okay, I keep the keys in the drawer by the door." And I'm going to point to my drawer by the door, right there. Those are my keys in that top drawer right by the door. I have a key storage device in there. And that is all the keys that we have. That is the keys to the vehicles. That is the keys to the house. Those are keys to other people's residences that I'm a trusted friend in case they get locked out, or if I house sit. Those are keys to our, whatever locks that we're using, like the bike lock. I took my bike out, but it's usually here. Any kind of key that we have, I gathered, we labeled them, we identified them, and then I put them in one location in the house, so that when I am called upon to answer where are the keys, I know where they are, and I can describe where they are. I can tell you the side of the drawer that it's on. So that way I don't have to stop what I'm doing to go and locate a specific item for someone else. Plus, when we're finished using the item, I have a reminder, and I can also give a verbal reminder. Please put the keys back where you found them so that we can find them when we need them. No stress. No stress. No stress. And no frustration. So that thematic organizing and creating a dedicated space in your house to house those items is going to create a framework for organizing the items in our homes that we use frequently. So that leads me to number 4 reason. We don't have a framework. We don't have a framework for how we're going to store certain items. We don't have a framework for how we use these items and where they need to be strategically placed in our homes so that we can find them when we need them and we have easy access. So all of the process that I use in the what I call the transformational organization process, or in this system that I designed as the Organizer Advisor, is to help you. And remember, it's all free, and there's a YouTube video, and there's playlists, and there's Facebook channel. This is designed to help you so that you don't feel constantly overwhelmed. But in that system, we go through these items one by one, and we create a practical, efficient, dedicated space for each of those items in your home. So, a couple of other reasons of why we have a lot of clutter. We tend to have avoidance behaviors. When we feel overwhelmed and when we look in a cluttered space, we start to have this visceral reaction of overwhelming, too much, can't do it all, I don't want to tackle this right now, so we avoid. Unfortunately, we're avoiding spaces in our home that are supposed to be our soul sanctuary, where we can feel relaxed and empowered and productive and connected. But if we're avoiding, it actually then becomes a confounding system, because once it reaches a state of clutter that it's like you feel like you're beyond hope, you just start to pile more on top of it. It's like, well, it's already bad, so why not put this in there too? That happens in garages an awful lot. It happens in spare rooms. It happens on your exercise equipment, in your laundry room, and a lot of times you're going to find piles in a particular room that's just the pile. It's the pile of stuff that you don't know where to put. And because you feel overwhelmed and stressed, you just kind of dump it. Okay. Why don't we get rid of stuff that is clutter? Well, number one reason, I don't advocate getting rid of things that are resources. My advocacy is capitalize that as a resource. You purchased this. You've kept this to enhance your life. Let it do its work. But in order to do that, you have to be able to find it, you have to be able to access it, and you have to be able to use it. So I'm not somebody that's going to tell you go and just start throwing things away, because what that's going to do, it's going to create a fear. And you're going to then get into this fear-based energy of lack and loss. Because if I get rid of it, I'm creating a loss. I spent money on this. I don't want to throw it away. Then there's the fear of, if I get rid of it, what happens if I need it? Okay. Before we start going through a whirlwind of just throwing a bunch of stuff in a plastic bag, hey, if that's what you want to do, that's on you. I don't advocate that. I advocate carefully going through, and you can use my process. It's totally free. We do day by day. It's all archived. You can start when you want and work at your own pace. I advocate creating a framework, a little bit every day. We do document organization, we do thematic organization, we do wardrobe restructuring, and all of this builds to create a framework for you to be able to utilize the stuff you have to enhance your life and your health and truly your happiness. Okay, so that's kind of my sharing today. I want to do another series on why we feel constantly overwhelmed in our house, but today's topic was about clutter. And if you need specific help, I can work with you online. We can do an online session. I can do Skype, Zoom, or FaceTime you as your organizational consultant to help you address some of these issues that you're having. I am happy to provide you some support, and I always take questions and comments for free, and please let me know if there's something I can do to help you enhance your happiness and transform your life. Thank you for sharing this time with me. Check out some of my other videos on my YouTube channel, as well as my Facebook page, The Organizer Advisor, and please connect. Reach out. You can message me on either platform, and I am happy to help. Love you.